What's going on, guys? Demetrious Johnson here, Jersey City. This is my second time on the show. First time live in the studio. Worked with Luke Thomas before, Chuck Mindenhall before. What's the other gentleman's name?
Brian Campbell.
Brian Campbell. I don't know if I spent a lot of time with Brian Campbell in the past when I was fighting in the UFC. Luke Thomas, he's been around forever. Yeah. Chuck Mindenhall, been around here forever.
Yeah, and Brian's...
He's here. He's got here.
Demetrious, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man.
What's up, man?
You know Chuck Mindenhall?
Oh, yeah.
What's up, man? Good to see you. Been a long time, yeah.
A true veteran of the game here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you aren't, but
I'm the boxing guy there. This chair too has like a loose spring, so you get like you can get your oil checked back.
That's one of the good things about these couches in the 70s, man. It's like this file right here. This is good.
Yeah. Hello, we're back at it on the couch. Room Service Diaries, Morning Combat. You know me, BC Brian Campbell, Chuck Mindenhall. But how about this? One of the greatest fighters to ever step foot inside the cage. And I know you don't want to talk about that.
You talk about whatever you want.
Okay? But when you're great.
Coming out hot.
Okay? That's what people talk about. No, Demetrious Johnson, Mighty Mouse himself, back at it with one championship. We got a lot to get into that. But man, for you to show up, we've had a few of these and they've been wild. There's been various substances, but this is like 8 a.m. that we're filming this. So it's dads, it's coffees, it's, you know, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm loving the couch, loving the setup, loving the vibes. So I'm just here to chill out and vibe out.
Now, when I see this couch, I think of my teenage years in somebody's basement, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to believe, I was chasing the muff around, but really I was chasing these couch cushions around. Have you had time on stuff like this?
Couch like this? Yeah, my mother-in-law, she kind of likes this old vintage stuff because the cushions kind of like give away, so you kind of fall into it. I mean, you go to, what's it called, Restoration Hardware and get the Cloud. It's like $9,000. I'm like, that thing is the most uncomfortable thing. Like this thing right
give me
here,
the old shit.
You say you found this in the back of the alley. And
this is well lived in couch, by the way.
I believe that there's stories to tell from this. You know what I mean? Where definitely. The man in the hat, Chuck Mindenhall. Thank you for joining us on here.
You said Demetrious, I was here.
Hey,
that's all I needed
if Luke Thomas was here, we'd be talking about tattoos, but Luke Thomas isn't here.
We always, each time me and Luke Thomas ever had like interactions, we're always arguing with each other. It's always like
I think that's the natural default for everybody. You know?
Wait.
We've been sitting here
about
for like
what? What's the differences here?
I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've been together. But I always feel like we always have like some internal beef with each other. But I don't know.
That's what Luke's always like, BC, why can't you hang out with me more on the road? I'm like, because me not liking you is the basis of the show. It's the foundation. I don't want to cross over.
No, hanging out with them wouldn't change that.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't change that at all. DJ, you're going to be back at it Friday, August 26th, Singapore. Big deal, one championship, making that debut on the Amazon Prime. Big U.S. deal, which is putting you guys prime time and eventually going to lead to the U.S. debut for the promotion. But, you've kind of been the face of this brand, whether you've wanted to take that or not, since coming over from the UFC. This is a pretty big damn fight in your arc, but what do you think about the overall feeling of like, man, we're kicking this off in the States and I'm in the main event? I mean, that's what it's all about.
First off, being like an anime fan and all that stuff, you said the arc. My arc, story of my career. So I felt that. That's pretty legit. I like that. It's an arc of my career. It's amazing. Like I said, I never wanted to, I don't want to say I never wanted to be the face of it, but I just see myself as another athlete under the roster. It's a huge deal for them signing with Amazon, right? Like, because I heard rumors like, hey, we got a U.S. broadcasting deal, right? We had the TNT. I felt like TNT was more focused on AEW, right? Like focused on the wrestling. Which is cool, but with Amazon Prime being the next broadcaster, that's a huge deal, and everybody's super excited about it. All my friends are like, dude, you know how dope it is, like just to go on and click Amazon Prime and have Prime Video, like, and who doesn't have Amazon Prime? Like, everyone wants that next day shipping, right? And it's almost like
that is true, man.
That's the biggest thing, right? Like everybody, like when I sit here and I always get analytical, I'm like, okay, so Amazon Prime, who has Prime Video? Everybody who has Amazon Prime who wants the second day or same day shipping. So it's not like, it's like an actual extra icing on the cake, right? Like, it's
people don't have to chase it.
You don't have to chase it.
They can run into it.
Yeah, and Amazon's going to do a good job of actually promoting it.
Now, when you started this career, man, did you think at some point you'd be talking about a fight in a streaming service and talking about mail delivery as being a connection to this. Like, isn't that insane? From where you started to now, that's like a hell of a trajectory right there.
I mean, when I first started, my first pro fight was in King the Cage at Everett. Key Arena, I believe it's Key Arena. I'm not sure if it's Key Arena. No, it's Comcast Event Center.
Well, at least you're in an event center. You could be in a tent on a parking lot
That's
for most
true.
MMA
That is
debuts,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Some guys have been, yeah.
I mean, that was my pro debut. I mean, my very first one. I mean, I fought in Alaska, I fought not everywhere, but in Washington, I kind of fought where you need to fight, I guess you could say, right? But now, fast forward, I mean, we're just talking about my fight against Dom. That was 11 years ago to this day.
Man.
And Dom just fought.
Time flies. That is crazy. It's been 11 years.
You know, and then who just retired? Rory McDonald just retired. Uriah Hall just
This is
retired.
your class. This is your
This
era.
is my-
Cowboy Cerrone just retired. Like all those guys, man.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, this is my era. So
Betch Kohea, put some respect on her name,
Kohea.
please. Thank you. All right.
Jessica I.
so it's you know, now being on Amazon Prime, still going after a world title.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't complain. I've been blessed.
Yeah, Friday, August 26th, 10 p.m. Eastern, the main card. Adriano Moraes, rematch for the Flyweight Championship. And you came out following the trade. You arrive at one. You look to be the prime DJ of ever. But this was we've never seen you stopped. And, you know, I think for a lot of us that with the change in the rule sets, it's like, oh, he got knee when he was down.
That's what occurred to me. I was like, oh, he's not used to that. His muscle memory doesn't.
That's not fair, okay?
Man, I tell you what, after that fight, I had to come home and explain to so many damn people what the hell happened.
They were like, that was illegal, wasn't it?
They're like, why is that man disqualified? I'm like, guys, you know, I'm a chill pill. I'm like, guys, like over there, you can get knee in the fucking face on the ground. Like,
and he's a big ass flyweight too with the weight rules and the rehydration.
See, the funny thing is that I weigh bigger than all the guys I fought. This is the thing people misconstrued, right? I don't know how big they are, like 8 weeks out from the fight.
Yeah.
12 weeks out, right? Like, I saw an email to myself back in 2012, me weighing 141 pounds. This is back in 2012. I was still fighting at 125. I think I just came out the loss against Dominic Cruz. So I remember when I was fighting Dom, I came home weighing 138 pounds during training camp. So I'm the exact same size as I was back in 2012.
Wow.
I just carry it differently, right? So
you carry it now in the abs and in the
well, my abs are fucking. Look at those abs. Are bulging.
Man.
So
we're not used to that.
So now when I go out and I compete, you know, they weigh you after the fight. And, you know, from what I've heard is that I've been bigger than all my opponents after the fight. Yeah. So, but he is taller. I mean, he's 5'10", 5'11". So there is a range advantage he has. And even in my fights, I've always had a hard time with taller guys. You look at Dominic Cruz, you look at Tim Elliott, you look at Miguel Torres. He isn't the first tall guy I've fought.
True.
But yeah, when I came back home, I don't know how many times I had to explain to everybody, like, dude, it's legal there. I got blasted in the face. I'm good. So
I mean, did that ending surprise you in terms of what was possible?
I mean, I know it was possible because it was a rule set. Did I ever think it would happen to me? In the back of my mind, I knew that day would come. You know, it's almost like getting cancer. Like it's a possibility that can happen to all of us, but you don't want it to
bring the
happen.
mood down, Demetrious.
I'm being fucking
it's
real.
inevitable.
Hey,
sorry, guys.
couch is being real.
I'm being straight
on the
up
couch
real,
is being
right?
real.
Like, you know, now when I fill out my paperwork, how you ever been knocked out? Fuck yeah, I've been knocked out before, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
you never had to check that until
I never
now,
had to check that to now. But, you know, I've been knocked out before when I've been snowboarding and, you know, been pushed off a roof, so it wasn't nothing new. I mean,
Jesus.
So,
the time we got that 8-ball in Cleveland, I mean, we've been there. You know?
I mean, he's blacked out one, so he's blacked up.
But look, it's like, okay, I don't know if this comes off as a backhanded compliment, but I always say I'll know somebody's a winner by how I watch them lose. Dude, you're a great loser, as weird as that is to say.
You can't be going, I mean,
you're a really good loser. You didn't complain after the Cejudo rematch. I thought you had huge grounds to complain. You didn't. You
elevation.
Bounced back.
You've always been elevated, though. It's like you've always dealt with everything. I feel like you'd handle losses way back in the day, too. Like, you've handled losses well.
Yeah, I think when you come, like my upbringing in mixed martial arts, training with Matt Hume, I mean, he still beats me up to this day. And, like, I always strive for perfection, right? Like, there's training, like, even in this training camp, those days I'll come in there and I'll have a great sparring session. I was like, if I fight like that, I'm winning this.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no hands, but there's nothing going to change. But you know, the Nerds days I'll go in there and I just have a horrible sparring session, right? And I'm not necessarily losing the sparring session.
Right.
It's just not perfection, right? So I think when you had that in the gym and then I lose, like I just started training at a brand new jiu-jitsu place with Professor Jan, and he just tears me a new one. It's like, what in the... so
you still
it's
get
just,
humbled, huh?
I still get humbled. So
Yeah.
I think when you get humbled in the gym and then you go out there on a bigger stage and you try to give it, you know, your all, and then you lose, it's like...
Let me ask you this, man, because you've had rematches before. I feel like you're a student of the game. Like, you're able to kind of see from the first time, right? And kind of do it again. This was a little different.
Yeah.
This one's a little different. But how does this one compare to some of your other rematches?
You know, it's different because, you know, obviously I lost this one, right? But it's just the approach. Like, the approach has got to be different, you know? Like, you watch film on somebody, you're like, okay, that's what he does. Then you get in there and be like, okay, wow, that's what he really does. And then you watch him again live, and it's like, fuck, that is what he does. So it's like...
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like, knowing that, it's like, how do you approach it, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you go in there, you approach it. I've done everything right? Diet's right, we're doing the media's right, training's right. So now you say go out there and give it hell and see if it works.
I've always been amazed at your ability to transition from like to be at this level, you've got to be hyper competitive and you've got to be perfectionist, as you mentioned, and you got to be, but then to just be able to say, okay, I lost, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to take this L, absorb it, and come back without that ego and arrogance of being like, man, that motherfucker. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
like you're human at the end of the day too. You're not a robot. Like that.
I think in America's culture, and with the UFC, with trying to be a big persona, right? And I think what personality and persona drives an ego. And I think there's too many people in this sport who have egos, right? It's like, we're all athletes, we're all human. Let's just go out there and put on a great show, give it your best, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super hyper competitive. Like, I plan on going out there and blowing the bricks off him. Like, I'm gonna get in his face, I'm gonna use my footwork, I'm gonna use my angles, use my wrestling, jiu-jitsu, my Muay Thai, and I'm gonna give everything I got. And if I come out as a victor, boom, GG, we got him, right? If I come out as a loser, God fucking damn it, we lost again. Well,
that was gamer speak. He was like, good game, gamer.
Yeah, that's gamer speak, right? And so I'm gonna go home and relax to where everybody's like, oh, I'm the fucking best, man, da-da-da-da. It's like, there's too many of that. I think sometimes it's a breath of fresh air. It's like, yeah, I lost, you know.
You don't seem like a guy who deludes yourself. Like, there are certain guys in the fight game, right? They get to it. They believe the invincibility that's kind of being put down. You're always reluctant with GOAT talk and things like that. I don't feel like you're fully cherishing, but maybe it's just you don't want to delude yourself into believing it or any of that stuff. Like, how does your mindset work on that?
Why aren't you willing to just, walk around with a crown on your head and be like, you're damn right I'm the GOAT, all right?
Because it's always subjected to the person's opinion, right? Like, my greatest of all time are going to be different than Chuck's, and they're going to be different than yours, right?
Yeah, mine are going to all involve the women's strawweight division.
Which is,
it's the way I roll.
He's always plugging that division every time we talk about it.
Hey, which is fine, so I try to keep that, I try to stay away from that talk, right? I'll let you guys, I'll let the community decide that. And I think when that happened is I was doing a video, I was working on a game. It was called For Honor, and it was a fighting game. And I was like, man, this game is probably esports ready.
Yeah.
And the creator was like, no, it's not. He goes, I don't get to decide that. The community does, right? So I think it's the community who decides who the greatest of all time is. Like, don't get me wrong, when my time is done and said, and to this day, I was like, I'm one of the greatest flyweights to ever do it. I was like, nobody, like 11 consecutive title defenses, never missed weight, never had a problem, never missed a USADA check-in. Name another flyweight.
Never really make excuses.
Never make excuses, right? Like, like when I lost to Henry Cejudo, I was like, I lost. Like, he beat me, and it is what it is. So.
Yeah, but you got screwed on the cards, and you were injured in like 2 places. I feel like if anybody ever deserved an immediate trilogy in that, out of respect, it should have been you.
I mean, we could have done a trilogy, but I didn't. There was other things for me to explore, right? You think about the time where the state of the flyweight division was in the UFC. It just wasn't where it is today, right? Like, I beat everybody in my era in that time. Joseph,
twice over.
Yeah, most times,
John Dodson. At the time, that's the thing, right? Like, I was talking to somebody about it the other day. It's like, you look at basketball. In Michael Jordan's era, Scottie Pippen, Gary Payton, all those guys. And if Michael Jordan is, they say, oh, well, if Michael Jordan was playing basketball today, he would be close to LeBron James. It's like, that's the thing. It's called his fucking time, right? So...
There's some subtle goat talk. He's getting.
It's going to come out around the fire in like 8 years when he's cracking a cold
I'm like, I tell you what, boys, it's the greatest of all time.
I'll tell you what, John Jones ain't shit.
Sardines,
No, that was a beer. I was like, John Jones.
Speaking of drinks, bartender, can I get a coffee refill from somebody? Filthy Phil, thank you. Oh, I wish we had a full spread of donuts for you, but you wouldn't touch it.
You know what, man?
I had donuts on the plane over here.
Wow. Well, you know what we do have
powdered
is this incredible bag of Brazilian nuts, because our producer Matt Ryle, who you wouldn't, when you look at him, you wouldn't think testosterone. He found out that these raise your T. All right,
really?
So there's Brazilian nuts if you'd like to.
This tea's good.
I'm good.
I think if you eat that whole container, you'll come out looking like 2013 Belfort. All right, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, man. When the flyweight division started in the UFC, I always had this theory that it was basically created because of Joseph Benavidez. Like, it was like, all right, let's create this division. He has nowhere to go. He's already lost to Dom twice behind the 8 ball. I feel like you were the ultimate interception was you coming in there and running that division, because it never, ever went that direction.
Yeah.
Did it feel that way to you? Because I felt like it was set up one way, and people weren't talking about you at that moment. Like, I remember
like
Joseph Benavidez. Yeah, Uncle Creepy.
Yeah.
And who was there? It was the Japanese guy, right? Or
Yurishi Tani.
yes. That was the original, yeah.
Yeah. I never felt that way.
Yeah.
Just because, I'm a big fan of Joseph Benavidez. I mean, we've spent a lot of time with each other. Saw Cole play together in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
One of my cherished good memory. So I think, look at me, he's like, coffee. Where's my coffee?
I'm getting a refill.
Put in a little Irish in Chuck's coffee, please. Thank you.
So I never felt that, but I can understand where you can get that, that viewpoint.
I think it's just that he was kind of the talking point at that moment. But
1,000%, and especially being from Team Alpha Male, great athlete. So it's like
he married up. Let's just be honest.
Oh
about
my
it,
god.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. But for me, I just went in there and did my thing and became the world champion at that time in 2012 in Toronto, and I was grateful for the opportunity, and it's given me the life that I couldn't imagine having.
Yeah.
And I was successful. I was a very successful champion.
Yeah.
Okay, how much? Because during your run and you're getting title defense after title defense, whenever there was something bad to potentially say about you, I felt like you responded in the cage. It was like, oh, he's too boring. He goes to decisions. All right, here's a first round knockout. You know what I mean? Or he doesn't do this. Oh, here's a ridiculous highlight reel submission. Were you like picking up on those wavelengths and going, okay, I'll show you guys, or was that just the natural progression?
I think it was a natural progression, because I remember when I had my first finish in the UFC, it was 2013, after I came back from shoulder surgery. I fought John Dodson, signed a contract to fight. This is another thing a champion doesn't do nowadays, right? Fought John Dodson in Chicago and signed a contract to fight John Moraga, was training, and I remember I was doing strength and conditioning, and I couldn't do something. And Matt was like, what's wrong with your shoulder? I was like, I don't know, it fucking hurts. And I was like, but I'm not pulling out this fight. He goes, you need to get an MRI. Got an MRI, tore my labrum, got surgery, fought in July against John Moraga. I remember submitting him in front of Key Arena, in front of hometown crowd. Yeah. And then after I submitted him, turned around, knocked out Joseph Benavidez.
Yeah, because the first fight, they were like, I'm not really sure if Joe won that. Well, he didn't win the rematch, I'll tell you that.
Exactly. But like, imagine that work schedule for a champion, getting surgery, fighting 3 times in a year. It's like, you're not going to see that nowadays. Like, you might see that, but now it's like, we got to make sure the build-up's good. We got to make sure pay-per-view points good. We got to make sure we sell out. So it's just different.
How much do you pay attention now to the flyweight division in UFC? You watch a lot of those guys still?
I pay attention to it, but I pay attention more to the 135-pound division, because I weigh in. I weigh in at 135. Yeah. Like, even though I fight at the flyweight division or world championship, I'm not weighing 125. Like, it ain't. I'm sure I can do it, but I don't want to do it. Like,
what's crazy about that is 135 worldwide is insane right now. From really, I can name a bunch of guys at Bellator who are world class. I can name a bunch of every organization across the board
the top
right now.
10
yeah,
in the UFC is ridiculous.
I mean, what do you think when you? I mean, there's people that are saying right now 135 is the deepest any division has been in the history of the sport.
I mean, when you said like in the world, like when you said like, I thought about Kyoto Horiguchi. I thought about the gentleman who just beat him. I don't know his name,
was it Patchy Mix?
Patchy Mix, Patchy Mix. That's a funny name because it reminds me of like, when I think of Patchy Mix, I think of fucking Trail Mix. So, Patchy Mix.
Oh, you should start that.
Trail Mix will fuck you up, all right? I'll tell you that.
I mean, like I said, I consider us 135ers, right? This is my personal opinion. They're like, oh, you're flyweight. My opinion. You got me, Adriano, you got Ajman, you got TJ, you got Sugar Sean O'Malley. You got Peter Yan. I mean, the list just goes on, right?
That's ridiculous, man.
Because the guys who fight at 125 and won championship, they're truly smaller. Like I've been next to Jared Brooks. He fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
But when I got next to him, I was like, wow, there is, we're the same height, but I can just tell like my thighs are way bigger than his. So I would probably say 135 right now is probably the
Dude,
stacks.
you've been training with Henry Cejudo, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
what's up with this?
Henry, my man.
Why
Henry.
did you and the King of Cringe get hooked up as buddies now?
So, once again, no ego, right? I reached out to Will Harris and I say, yo, man, I was like, I got a house here in Arizona. I was like, you mind if I get Henry Cejudo's number? He goes, yeah. Called Henry. He goes, yo, Demetrious, man. He goes, I was kind of, skeptical you called me, bruh.
that's actually, I can actually hear it. I can hear it.
I didn't think you called me, man.
You must be thinking about a trilogy.
No. He goes, what's up, Demetrious? You got a place out here? I was like, yeah. And I was like, I just want to know if you want to, you cool with me just coming to mix it up and vibing out and just get training. He goes, absolutely, man. I will love, I got some things I want to go over with you. So would you come to the house? Like,
Well,
I love
beyond
him.
having the history with him, have you been watching where fighters are starting to pick him out? And, whether it was Zhang Wei Li, whether it was Figueiredo, they're starting to seek him out and adding
That's true.
his, but also the captain, Eric Albarracin. Let's put respect on his name.
I
too.
ain't worried about captain.
I mean, he's flashy. It's hard to look at him.
Flamboyant fellow right there.
Yeah. I see that, but for me, whether those guys would have seeked him out, I mean, I've always respected Henry Cejudo even as we fought each other both times. And he's done something in his sport, in mixed martial arts, I've never done, and also wrestling. I mean, 2 divisional champion. He defended both belts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's achieved a lot in mixed martial arts. So it was a no-brainer for me. Like, hey, dude, like let's work out together, right? Because even when we trained together, like we did one full week, and then he went on vacation, but we trained a lot. And he goes, I understand why you were successful, and now I understand why he's successful. So it was good.
I imagine that Rocky and Apollo thing, right?
Yes.
They're 1-1, they're training together, but then they're...
It was kind of like that, but like we're just so, like he's so chill and like just going over things. And I'm like, because I think the best friendship or training partners is where you have disagreements, right?
Yeah.
Because if I go there and be like, oh, yeah, you're right, Henry, you're right. And I'm like, Henry, you're going to break your fucking foot. I was like, so I'm going to check that shit. He goes, maybe you might, maybe you won't. Like, we have our disagreements. And I'm like, dude, do this. He goes, why would you do that? I'm like, why not? Go for the finish. Like, go to your back and slap on the triangle. He goes, nah, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, that's your
So
best.
he's just as cringy when the cameras are off.
No.
No, women love this man. Okay, he's a ladies'
I
man.
know. I've seen him out.
Yeah, but it was a great time. Like I have.
I mean, if
nothing
we
but
see them in
respect.
half shirts running on the beach, then we'll know a real,
Right.
splashing and Rocky moment happened right there. Okay, you don't get nostalgic. You're not worrying about this GOAT shit. We'll save that till you're retired. But do you look back at your UFC run like completely happy with how it all went, or is there? I mean, because like. You spoke your mind, and I always respected that about you.
Yeah.
But you don't seem like somebody who's holding grudges for any public disputes you had.
There's no point to. I mean, the only thing, if I could change anything about my UFC career is just make more money in the pay-per-view buys. Like, throw me on a Conor card. Because I've always delivered, right? Like, the Ray Borg. I mean, even the Ali Bogatino fight, even when I fought him, they didn't go to a finish, but I beat the bricks off him. John Dotson, the second one, beat him up. So I just wish I had the opportunity to be on one of those, $2.1 million pay-per-view buys and have pay-per-view points.
Yeah, but I didn't like that narrative of like, well, he's not a pay-per-view fighter and he's killed this division and it almost closed and maybe Prince Cejudo saved it by coming in with the cape on. I didn't believe that.
Oh,
that might have been coming from the top, not even from the... I feel like that was fed to the media somehow.
Yeah, I mean, anybody... Like I said, man, like, I don't hold any grudges. I hold no resentment. I hold no... wish I woulda, coulda, anything like that, right? Like,
Man, you're solid as shit.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
I mean, you kind of did the opposite thing. I mean, back in the day, there were a lot of guys who started in Japan. Like, you know what I mean?
I did the opposite.
Yeah, you did the opposite, which is kind of cool. It's against the grain.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Shogun, Rampage, Vanderlei, Crow Cop, they all started in Japan. And I think, with Crow Cop doing K1, all those guys have an opportunity to fight over there. And it was just a Wild Wild West over there, right? Yeah. Like, it wasn't what the UFC was back in the day, or Strikeforce. But now doing, the opposite, going to Asia now, I'm loving it. I get to see Singapore, Japan, got to fight in Japan, and, I can't complain.
How is it? Like,
how's Singapore?
Yeah.
What's this like?
Seems interesting over there.
Singapore is different. It's beautiful. I'll tell you that right now. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's very strict. I like that. I mean, they took homeboy's license away, not mine. One guy got in an accident because he was drinking and driving. I'm like, all right, you're not driving anymore.
No, you're getting caned, bitch. You know what I mean? That's what happens.
You're an adult. You're 35 years old. You had a DUI. You're done. So I kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a little strict on too many things.
Yeah.
Like you can't eat poppy seed muffins over there, and it's like, come on, guys.
What?
Come on. Like,
why not?
Because of the opioids, like
Wow,
it's
man.
the opiums or whatever it is.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
or like CBD. So there's countries have their things, but it is what it is. But it's a beautiful country. Like the Lion City is absolutely beautiful.
You'd fought in you fought in Australia when they were doing the flyweight tour, but like you really hadn't been. You went to Alaska a couple times. You hadn't really been traveling, but now you're doing these. I feel like I'm traveling constantly on that.
Yeah, Japan, Manila, Singapore. I love Japan. Japan's my favorite spot in Asia. Just because I like going there. I love hearing the language. I love the anime. I love the districts. I love.
Oh yeah, that's true, man.
I just like. I mean. I just love.
What do you do? Like, see, my thing is, I'm always like, those flights seem very like, I would be dreading those flights, man.
I just chill, chill. My, my little 5'3" little ass.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know the true struggle on that regard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that is true.
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
also coach class, Demetrious. That might be a little different.
Hey, my buddy, he fights in Singapore. James Yang, one flyweight. He's featherweight. Hey. Dog, they're like, oh, sorry, we can't put you in first class. I was like, it's all good. I'm going there, and we sit back there. And we're just like, I can't believe I'm doing this because I love you. But so I made the trip, and when I fought in Australia, shit, that was back in the bus. Yeah. Remember coming home and I fought Ian McCall, Stitches, Black Eyes.
Yeah,
I was like, this is crazy.
All right, take me back to this transition from dominant, historic UFC champion. You're on the GOAT list, basically. You're in the upper room conversation, and then it's like breaking news. You've been traded to one champion. We're like, we didn't even as media members, like we didn't even know that was possible. What's that timeline like for you? Because were you gonna resign? Like, where were you at mentally?
So
at that point?
I believe I had. So I just lost my fight against Henry Cejudo, and I remember Maki came to me. He goes, "You told me what do you want to do, bro?" And I was okay. And I made him come back home, and I talked, and I said, okay, let's sit down and look at the landscape. I was like, okay, I could go back and fight. And Henry Cejudo, that fight was the only fight on my contract that I had pay-per-view points, right? So, and then how the contracts worked in the UFC, my contract was basically, you guys know, it's flat rate, goes up, escalates, and it stops at one point. So for me, I was like, okay, I could go back and fight Henry Cejudo again. Two things can happen. One, I could beat him, then I'm right back where I'm stuck where I was, right? Or two, I lose to Henry Cejudo, and I'm stuck where I'm at now. I just lost to him, right? Or I can see if I get out of my contract, because they're talking about getting rid of the Flyweight Division anyways, and maybe I can go test free agency, whatever, right?
So let me just pause you there. Was rematching Dom Cruz, who I think was the champion for a moment in there when he beat TJ during that kind of time, was that ever a thought for you? Because people thought if the flyweight division goes away, we'll see DJ Dom part 2.
No, that was never on the table or an option, because it was just like that was never an option.
Okay.
Like when you mentioned that, I was like,
because the fan in me was like, I was like, the only option.
I kind of want to see that run back at some point.
I forgot TJ and Dom were fighting at that time. You know what I mean? So then that's when it came about that they're like, hey, one championship's like, hey, we'll trade you Ben Askren, who was retired and on ice, because when you retire, your contract gets freeze, right? You can't just go out and do whatever you want. And they're like, hey, we'll trade Ben Askren for Demetrious Johnson, and the UFC was like, yeah, sure, sounds whatever.
Did that surprise you? That it got to that point?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was happy. I was like, dope. I was like, because it gave me an opportunity to go do something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, when I went to one championship, my goal was to be able to do something different. And then I just had to super fight with Rodtang, which I never thought would happen, right?
That was awesome.
If I want the option to do kickboxing, I can do that. Imagine I was like, oh, Demetrious Johnson, he's going to do kickboxing. You know, people fucking tune into that, like whether I get knocked out or if I'm going to like. So for me, I had
that first round was a pretty high theater there, because you're like, how's he gonna pull
dude?
there?
The crowd was nuts. The crowd loved it, and that was probably like, I hear more praises from that fight than
the Rodtang fight.
The Rodtang fight,
which was mixed rules.
That mixed rule fight was bigger than any of my one championship fight.
How, if anyone's watching, they're an MMA fan, but they have no idea who Rodtang is, how do you describe how he's received?
He's huge
overseas?
out there, right? Like
destroyer.
Yeah,
he just goes out and he just blows the bricks off people.
Is he like part Elvis Presley, part like Genghis Khan, basically?
I guess. I mean, when I watch him, for me, I watch him and I look at his style and I'm like, hey, he's taking way too many shots, way too many concussions.
Oh, he welcomes it.
He welcomes it, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm worried about your CTE because I've gone through it. I see people go through that.
Yeah.
But then as an athlete, I'm like, okay, that is unbelievable. And 2, like the first round's gonna be hell, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, second round, you can take all those shots. I'm like, but I'm gonna choke you out. I was like, your brain needs oxygen.
Man.
There's no ifs, ands, buts. You can be the toughest motherfucker in the world. You get that brain cut off, you're going.
Nobody told him he could tap though. Apparently.
No, I don't think.
Well, he said, the one of the things I love about one championship is that it's almost like we're one big giant college sorority or frat house, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the fight's really back. We're all talking, right? I asked him, I was like,
Yeah, but not as elitist as a typical frat. Those people that need others to lift them up and walk this earth. They can't just stand alone. Like Luke Thomas had to be in a frat. Like what an old bitch, you know?
yeah. But we're in the back, and I'm like, I'm talking to Marshall. I was like, Officer Lingersburg, and I was like, hey, I need somebody to translate. Somebody get translator. I was like, ask Rodtang how hard did I hit him? Because, he did shot. And he goes, oh, so, it's all the same. But we're all in the back just chilling. We're all talking. You got Adriano over there talking to Angelo, Stamp Fairtex. And Stamp was like, I wanted to win so bad. And Adriano was like, it's okay. He goes, this time you have to learn. Like, you didn't win. It is what it is. And
Like utopia over there.
Yeah, it's like we're just all chilling. Like, we all know, like, for me, I want to see everybody eat. I want to see everybody eat. I want to see everybody make a lot of money. I want to see everybody retire from the sport happy, driving Bentleys, whatever it may be, whatever your sin is, right? Whether you eat at my table or you're eating away from my table, right? I never want to see anybody, walk from the sport, be angry or pissed off at it, right? So over there, you can feel that.
Has anybody brought you like a big bag of cash after a fight like they used to do in the Pride days?
Like the Nelk boys used to get,
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
You used to hear those Pride stories about like the bags of cash.
Yeah, no, those stories are true. I've heard some stories, and I remember there was a story where Matt, when he go over there, he would work and he goes, I got all this cash, and he goes, you get some, I'm
That's
getting that back, I'm getting that back, I'm getting that
Wait,
back.
that cash still needs to be laundered. Put that back.
Is that right?
So I don't want to leave the Rodtang conversation because it was sort of like, what kind of Marvel action movie is this fight going to look like?
It actually, it was way more entertaining than I thought it would be in prospect. I was like, this won't work. But as you watch it, no, this totally works. Because you're like, if he gets through the first, now,
So was there ever a moment where you were like, oh shit, he's as dangerous as advertised? Like, this is good. This is kind of.
I think my favorite part about it is like, the training camp for it was pretty fun because we worked a lot of Muay Thai clinch, a lot of stand up and grappling as well. And then being in there, coming out to it was 1X, live crowd finally. It was pretty dope. And then Rodtang comes out, he's all doing his dance. I was like, this motherfucker dance. And he's taking his time. He gets in the cage. I was like, when you heard the fuck up, I'm trying to get this fight so I go home, man. And then you ready, fight. And to see him not care not one bit of just crossing that distance.
So for people that don't know, the first round was
first round's Muay Thai, second round's MMA, third round's Muay Thai.
So you're in your head, you're like, don't take him down, don't take him down, don't take him down.
Well, I just and prior to the fight, it was like...
There's a couple times I thought you were about to.
Yeah, right? I was like, what? But prior to the fight, in my mindset, it was like, okay, if he can't get me out, if I can't get him down, and then in the third round, if he can't get him out, in the fourth round, he came out, it would just be a draw, right? Or it would just go to decision, right? And then they came back. I didn't think of a draw. It was like, it would just go to decision. I don't know how they're going to score it. They came back and I was like, somebody needs to finish somebody.
Yeah.
Like, if nobody wins, it's a draw. And I was like, okay, I'm going to finish him. So, going to the fight, I remember him coming across the cage, just walking across it, just like, and I was like, he don't give two fucks. And he goes, pop, pop, pop. And I was like, and I grabbed him and then I clenched him, natural reaction. And then the ref was like, stop, I don't know. And I was like, and I threw two knees and I was like, what's up? And he goes, you can't clench like that. And I'm like, oh, that's right. And so if you go back and watch that fight, you see me doing this. I'm like this. I'm
back
like,
and watch it. You know what it looks like? It looks like a video game because of the way he comes out. You're like, well, this isn't real. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's so weird the way that fight starts.
Yeah,
very crazy.
And he came out guns blazing. But I like that because now where I'm at in my career, in the sport of mixed martial arts, it's about entertainment. It's about what the fans want to see. And so when me and him went out there and fought, and I just said, my coach came back there and he goes, just go out there and fight.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just go out there and fight. I'm like, enough said. And I went out there and I just started like.
That was very entertaining.
And when I watch him, I think he gets by bullying his opponents, right? Like, I can take a shot, you can't take my shot, right? He beats him up. So for me, he ate a lot of my shots, and I ate a lot of his shots.
You cracked him too.
Yeah, I cracked him, and he didn't move.
Coming.
He kept on coming. I was like, and I fought guys like that before.
Yeah.
Like Ali Bogatinov was the one guy I fought in the UFC where I remember kneeing him in the jaw, feeling his jaw shift, and I was like, I can't knock you out. I'm not gonna keep on trying. I'm gonna injure myself.
Sure
right
are
through
a
it.
robot. That's
Yeah, so I was
That's
like,
awesome, man.
So, but the second round got him down, and got the rear naked choke. And
all right, true greatness is the ability, like true special greatness in any sport. It's like the ability to be on the grandest.
Greatness, by the way.
I'm an expert on this. On the grandest stage, yet do something miraculous and make it look so damn easy. And it could be Michael Jordan hitting the walk away jump shot against the Jazz. I think of you against Ray Borg, just freestyle in the like just Miles Davis jazz playing and fuck around and got a flying armbar. Does it feel like time slows down for you? Is that like is that what it feels like when you're at that level and you're just flowing? That like it's like the Matrix, you could see everything coming and you're just like, I mean, because you made it look like you were like miles ahead mentally from the rest of us in that fight.
So I think for me, I don't feel like time was slowing down. I feel like I knew what I was doing, obviously. I think what made me successful as an athlete and professional fighter was so much content that was given to me, right? Because going into that fight, we just learned about how to disturb somebody's weight when they're being a rock, right? And Matt was saying, like, you have to disturb their base or get them to disturb their base. So if I was to lift Ray Borg up like this, I did that, like this, when he's standing there, right? I couldn't do it. It would be a lot harder. But once he went like this and elbowed me, I was like, you disturbed your weight. I can move you now. He did that. I was like, oh, you moved. I can throw him, right?
You were fucked up, sir.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Putting like, you on a poster and momentarily.
Yeah, so once he did that, I learned that. I felt that from taking class, learning it. It wasn't like we're in a gym and it was like, okay, we're going to do this to him, right? So that's when I realized that's where I became better. And I kind of refound that, I guess you call evigoration. Don't know if that's a word, but I feel like it is.
That sounds like a good word.
It's a combination of probably a few great words.
Yeah. What I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where it's like I'm getting all this content, I can use it again, right? Because when you're getting ready for fights, it's the same thing over and over. This is what he does. This is how we do this. Or whatever. We're back in the day, my title run, I was like, okay, guys, we're gonna focus on taking somebody's balance. And then when I'm in the fight, I'm like, oh, I can take your balance. I'm taking your balance. So that's where my upbringing was.
I feel like too. You like anime and you like video games. You like these things that you can distort your own reality to say, I could do something crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's what, like, it's like those guys who do parkour, like, that's impossible until you start seeing people do it.
Yep.
It's kind of strange. I always wonder that with you. I'm like, do you see things and you're like, you know what, man, I could do this in physical life. I could actually pull this off.
I think you just say it right when you say, I try to distort my reality in fighting, right?
Yeah.
Like, I try to do that. Like, I go to the gym and I train and I learn all this stuff and then I try to actually apply it, right? That's where I think I felt me successful. So sometimes I'm able to slow it down. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm like, no.
Sometimes you rhyme slow. Sometimes you rhyme quick.
The Horiguchi 1 second left. That was planned, right?
Oh no. Matt was yelling at me. He goes, "I burn."
That's still epic. I was at that fight.
I forgot I finished him. But yeah, that was another one. Like I said, when I feel like today, if let's say we fast forward, right? And let's say 2012 was 2022. And I'm, 24, 25 years old. And I just won a world title in Toronto.
Right.
Today, how social media is, how the marketing is, and I went on that 6-year run,
Sure.
I think, I would be in a different place in my life.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just like you think about it now, like, because there are some fights where I go out there and I blow the bricks off people, but I mean, the Kyojo Horiguchi that fight, the Chris Carriaso fight, like how I was going out there to destroy him. I mean, you look at how Izzy Adesanya is doing right now. He's had a couple fights where everybody's like, oh, I was kind of dead. Yeah. But for me, I'm always pushing. Like, I've never sat back and like looked and played it easy. Like, I'm always like, if I can't get you out of there, I'm going to beat the hell out of you for 25 minutes. So I think my pay-per-view number bias hopefully will be different now.
Yeah.
If you know, things were different. Like if it was 2012, it was 2022, me, Joseph in Toronto fighting for the belt.
That's such a great point. You think about that sometimes, like greatness before like social media and things like that are ready to accept it. It's weird, you know?
Yeah, that's what I think. Like when you said that, I'm like, you know, I think if it was back then, you know, now is now. Because you think of like, you look at the champions, like I was talking to somebody and he goes, oh, Izzy's last fight was horrible. I was like, I don't think it was. They're like, yeah, man, he was talking all that shit. Well, Chris Pratt was like, he was talking all that shit,
Yeah,
and then Chris Pratt was like, and then Izzy was like, you're just a fucking dude. And I was like, don't go back on your words.
Yo, Chris Pratt took the knee quick though. After that, he was like, you're right, I was wrong. And I'm just like, bro, come on.
But that's his opinion, right? He's entitled to his opinion. Like, not every fight you're gonna go out there is going to be a world class dominance, right? And it takes two to tango, right? I understand that. I understand Izzy's style of fighting. Like, are we ever gonna see Izzy go out there, cross distance, and go 1-1-2, high 9, clinch, knee, oh, double leg takedown, oh, I'm passing your guard, I'm looking for armbar? We're not. Like, that's just not his style, right? His style, he's a counter puncher. He thrives when you make a mistake. You look at Paulo Costa. That's just going to be a style till he is ready to change, right? So it is what it is.
You see cats these days kind of, you know, handling media differently, like using the media, a lot of useful idiots in the media. But like, do you enjoy media, man? Because I feel like you handle it well because you're very real. I don't feel like you're putting on airs, but it takes people time to kind of come to you then, right?
Yeah.
To understand who you are that way.
When I can be honest and just keep it and give my honest opinion about things and not worry about I don't think there should be backlash because I'm being honest, right? And everything I say, I'll say behind closed doors, you know, to my wife. So yeah, I don't mind media, right? Like, I always like to ask, like, what's your point you're trying to get across, right? And
right.
But do you look at when you feel like somebody's framing a question to get a certain headline, and whether we subconsciously do that or sometimes subconsciously, it's the game, right? It's the game. So are you able to sort of pick that out, have grace for it?
I know when they're trying to get a soundbite, and I try to, you know, answer it a little bit, but answer it truthfully, whether the camera's on or not. Like how we were talking before the cameras came on, I feel like that's how we're talking now, right?
Yeah, we were wondering if a hooker had died on this couch.
Yeah,
and a legitimate question.
He said, it's 50-50.
Yeah, he said, I want to put hooker died on the couch. And I said, well, if it was a she or a he, you guys sure to cleaned up because men can be hookers too.
That's a good point. You know, wow, what a solid man right now. Are you the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in the history of this sport?
That's up to you guys to decide.
Yo, but I'm asking you, okay?
I would say, like I said before, when it comes down to it,
don't give me the story. Don't give me the canned answer. Like, give me the real.
I'm giving the answer. Like I tell my judge all the time, they're like, they don't ask me because they don't really care about mixed martial arts. But when they ask me like that, how good were you? I'm like, dude, I was the best to ever do it in my division. Like I truly believe that. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
that's not even up for dispute. That's not opinion.
Even though I lost or whatever, but the consecutive, like now I sit here, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, who has the most consecutive, who has the most world championship wins? Not just in UFC or Pride, Ryzen, Strikeforce, PFL, just all together, right?
Yeah.
And
Bodog fights.
Oh, Bodog fights. And someone goes, it was Fedor. I was like, was it Fedor? I was like, I remember Fedor fighting. He was a champion, but I don't remember all his fights being title fights. Like him being champion, right? So I was like, I wonder what those statistics are. Right now it's John Jones with 14, right? I think I'm at 12. I was like, whoa, hey, I got fucking 13. I won that World Grand Prix. That's a championship, right? I was like, I want to know what. I remember Amanda Nunes just got to the club. She's got 10 now. Like, so for me,
interesting. I never really thought it like that.
I will say it like, I was like, as one of the best flyweights in the world, I will hands down say, no, I'm one of the best flyweights ever to walk this earth. Like,
do you have then? If someone said who's the GOAT, then do you have an answer?
No, I would say for me, I'm like, dude, he changes all the time. Like I said, I love John Jones so much, or it's like I love people who break that stereotype, right? It's like John Jones, he's at home, he's working out, he's doing his thing. Johnny goes, man, DC, before I had your ass, I was out doing coke, and I beat you. What you gonna do? And I'm like,
that's so true.
You know, like I'm like,
like, that was actually like one of the best things he could have said.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
I don't care what anybody says. Like I truly believe, like John Jones, like when I've been in a room and I trained with John Jones. The way he understands distance, the way he's able to mix up things, like I truly believe, like when he would fight people, like when he pulled guard, I think it was on Rampage Jackson. He just jumped guard just to do it. I'm like, yeah, he's playing. Yeah. I truly believe, like, if John Jones wanted to finish people more, he could. But he's like, what's the point? Like, I'm beating you. Like,
let's say that you made $10 million in your 5th title defense.
Oh, Jesus.
What happens, man? Are you still fighting right now?
On my 5th title defense, I made $10 million, and then I went off to do another 6. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I'll probably, like, kind of like, Connor, I tell you what, let's make some whiskey. Like, because, like, yeah, I don't know what I'd be like if I made. I still believe I'll still be humble.
Yeah.
You know, I'll still be chill because
It's hard to know, though, right?
No.
What like you guard against I always mention this about George St. Pierre. Guarded against complacency. You have to maintain that level and to keep defending that title. You have to guard against everything, like believing what people are saying about you, all of that stuff. But guarding against complacency. But it makes it more difficult, though, right? If you're getting paid shit tons of money.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm my circle that I hang out with is still the same circle.
Yeah.
Like my friends, they don't even watch fighting. Right, like when I was like, hey, who you fighting? Yu Wakamatsu. Who the fuck is that? I was like, oh, it's a Japanese guy, right? and then they're like, oh, I'm fighting Tatsuya Tawada. They're like, who's that? And then when I was like, I'm fighting Rodtang. You fighting him? You fighting Rodtang?
Are these the same people who are like, hey man, he knocked you? He should have been disqualified. What's going on?
No. This is my inner circle. Even when I fought Adriano, I was like, hey, who you fighting next? I'm fighting Adriano Moraes. It's the first time I was fighting for a world title. He goes, who's that? I'm like, oh, he's a badass Brazilian guy, one of the longest reigning champions in one championship in the Flyweight Division. But then when I fought Rodtang, everybody knew who he was, right?
Sure.
So my circle is very small, right? Like none of my friends fight, none of them watch fighting, and it's just easier. Like when I get done fighting, I go home and I chill and like I'm looking to go play golf. Like everybody's like, I can't wait to go play golf.
Right? You don't want to be talking fighting over there.
Humble, but like just regular dude, regular dad is the key to your success, and I respect that. So let's go full circle here to close. Friday, August 26th, we're talking about the rematch. Adriano Moraes, who, by the way, looking at his resume, twice he lost the flyweight title and came back and avenged that against the guy who beat him. So battle-tested his shit. You're 36 years old now. I know that as you get older, you're naturally being more efficient anyway and figuring out, ways to work smarter and all that. But like, how much are you still adding to your game heading into this big rematch? Like, do you feel you're a little bit slower than in your prime, or is that not even a feeling?
I just don't recover as fast.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing I noticed is that I don't recover as fast.
There are drugs for that people start to take.
That is true. It's called TRT, HGH, which
Brazilian nuts, if you need
Brazilian nuts, but no, I don't need. I always laugh. I remember like, I think it was Jones. I don't know who it was. I think it was Jones, but somebody was like, "Oh man, I like that stuff to keep me rock hard." In the gas station, I'm like,
no more dick pills, no more.
Dick pills. That's what he goes. You need that. I was like, so for me, I don't need that stuff, right? I know as I get older, I can't. What's it called? I can't push it like I used to, right? So I need more recovery. But as far as adding new content, getting better, 1,000%. Like right now. I have different goals. I jumped back to my gi. I'm working towards my black belt under Professor Jan. And then I want to compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I want to compete in the gi.
Wow,
that's something I want to do. Like, this one thing I will say about the GOAT talk, right? If people are going to put me as the GOAT talk, I want to embody that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when I think GOAT talk, you can do, it's not about how many times you were successful as a champion. It's about, like, if I throw in a gi, I'm like, come here, motherfucker. I'm gonna show you something. Let me show what I got.
You might get lost down there. Be careful.
Like,
It's like that commercial. You just
I fall out. Like, I want to put it on and I want to be legit, right? And if it's like, hey, we're gonna do Muay Thai, I want to be sweeping you. I want to be throwing elbows. I want to be throwing knees.
Yeah.
If we do boxing, I want to be pop, 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 pop. I want to embody that. The greatest of all time. Not just, he had 11 consecutive title defenses and he did all this stuff. It's like, if I was to throw a gi on, like, I think who's the pound best fighter in the world right now?
Kamaru Usman. If
I throw Kamaru Usman and I was like, hey, we're going to do straight Muay Thai and I'm sweeping him all over, I'm like, your Thai game is fucking weak.
Oh, shit.
You need to work on this. That's how Matt is with me. Yeah. Like, Matt's like, if you're going to be the greatest of all time, everything needs to be good. You can't just win all these title defenses because you're just better than an athlete. You need to be dominant in certain areas. So that's like my vision. Like, if I'm the greatest of all time, I need to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I need to win IBJJF. Like, I need to, whether it's a master or whatever, like, that's my goal.
Still working with Matt, though?
Oh, yeah.
He just can't corner you, right? Like
he can't corner me. Yeah. But we still train, we still fight. And
you guys have always been synonymous. I feel like that rise was his, too, through the whole thing.
And that's the biggest thing, too. It's like, here I am. I'm training with my coach.
Yeah.
And then when I go after the fight, it's basically me.
Right.
And I can't get cornered, right? Like the other day I was sparring, and he goes, okay, you need to do this and this. And I'm like, fuck, man, imagine if you can corner me. Because he can keep, you know, the horse back in the race.
Yeah.
He can keep me,
Of course, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
guided.
but we look at some of the geniuses who changed the game. Mike Perry changed the game when he brought in Coach Latorre because he wanted that positive. But you know,
I love when he was like, shit, I mean, I get to keep most of the money too. Shit. I'm giving 25%, 20%.
Smart. He's doing the math.
He goes,
You're still in the thick of it. The Adriano Moraes rematch for the one flyweight title. It's going to kick off the one on Amazon Prime 1. That's the name of the card. Friday, August 26th, 10 p.m. Eastern. The main card on Prime. But to close here, what's your role going to be? Do you believe after fighting? Are you just regular local dad and husband, or are you ambassador of the sport? Are you a trainer? What do you look like down the road?
No interest in gym though, right? You don't
no
want to
interest in a gym. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time and commitment away from your family. For me, I want to focus on being a dad, a husband. That's where my heart is, right? I think there's no greater achievement to raise beautiful humans, and my wife taught me that.
You have 3 kids?
I have 3 children, yeah. So for me, just the way today's society is, how, you know, I seen it in children, like where they don't have a good, stable home, dad's at home, mom's not caring. It just doesn't look very well. And I think our society, my children are the next generation, right? And so, but as for an ambassador, I'll always be there to support and help out my teammates. And I feel like the best way I can get back to the sport is by just being real with the next athlete. Like, dude, this is a very short time in your career. Save your money, invest your money. That way you can have something to show for after you're done. And then, you know, one of the greatest things I take is that when we used to do our UFC athletes retreat, I remember Dana White got up there, he goes, this is a very short time in your career, right? So I'm 37, if I fight till I'm 39, I plan to die when I'm like 97, you know? So
I think he'll get there. I have a feeling.
I have 50 years.
The over-under is 96 and a half. But,
So it's a very short time. So I feel like for me, that's where I feel like I'm going to get back to the mixed martial arts community. Is like, save your money, be smart with it, and don't get caught up in the limelight. Just be smart, you know? Like, you see too many guys. You see my boy Marshawn Lynch, like,
You're like, don't eat in a gas station.
Nowadays, Dana at those resorts, wherever they used to do, like, the retreats, he just holds up bags of money and says, I won, bitches. Look at this, like $100 million.
Crypto for NFTs for everybody. Who wants some more digital coin? Let's go. Yeah, there it is. Mighty Mouse, this has been great, man.
Thanks, man.
Because I know this side of you, and I like bringing it out more, you know? Just this chill dude dad.
If I can talk like this all the time on media, this is how I like to approach media now, because this is who I am.
Yeah.
It's straightforward. Some people might like it, some people, I don't like chocolate cake.
It's a character flaw, but that's fine, you know. But you know, you got a busy day ahead in New York City. Go on the Ariel show, and you know, and just don't really answer much. Just be like, you know, I gave my best stuff to Morning Kombat.
Yeah, right. So go check out those guys.
We're gonna check you out Friday, August 26th. Go get it, man. Go get that gold. Okay,
thanks, man.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
I appreciate doing it, man. Yeah, my first one too. This is fun.
Hey, watch. Luke's like, hey, Brian, I didn't get my last week's check. He goes, yeah, about that. We got a new co-host. To be honest with you.
I mean, just look at the camera. Tell him, Luke, you can dye your hair. It's okay. That's okay. Okay, the different color beard is just not working. DJ, we love it. We'll see you back. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.